Welcome to Honeybee, real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. My name is Robert, and the moment I decided to stop fighting for my marriage happened over a quiet dinner. She looked at me across the table and said words I'll never forget. "I'm in love with someone else." In that instant, something inside me shut down. I didn't demand an explanation. I didn't argue. I just knew it was over. I called for the check, paid, stood up, and walked out, leaving her sitting there in shock. She didn't see it coming, but honestly, neither did I. Looking back now, what still surprises me most is how silent the unraveling of our marriage was. It didn't collapse overnight. It didn't end in a loud, messy explosion. It withered away slowly, quietly, like watching paint peel off a wall over the years. You don't notice at first, and then suddenly it's all faded and lifeless. Long before we said anything out loud, we'd stopped being husband and wife in the true sense. We still shared a roof, ate at the same table, even slept in the same bed. But the warmth was gone. We became more like polite roommates than partners. Some days we barely spoke at all. When we did, it was about bills, groceries, or her schedule. We didn't fight, not because we were at peace, but because neither of us cared enough to try. That's the cruelest kind of silence in a marriage, the kind that feels like slow death. We hadn't touched in months. I'd grown used to the emotional cold, but I couldn't forget that it hadn't always been this way. We used to be in love, really in love. I used to be her person, the one she leaned on, the one she chose. But over time, the thread between us wore thinner and thinner until it finally snapped, and neither of us reached to tie it back together. So when she admitted she loved someone else, it wasn't the start of the end. It was just the moment I stopped pretending there was anything left to save. When we first met, I was in my late 20s, stable, and working a decent job at a well-known agrochemical company. Susan was the type to talk about her dreams, as if they were already within reach. She wanted to start a wellness retail business and had a detailed plan mapped out. The products, the branding, even the kind of space she wanted to create for her customers. But she was struggling to make it happen. She tried everything, applied for funding, networked, tested ideas, but nothing took off. The biggest hurdle was money. I'm not one to throw my savings around, especially on something with no guaranteed return. But one night, listening to her speak with so much conviction, I did something I never expected myself. I took $50,000 from my personal savings and gave it to her. She was stunned. She told me no one had ever done anything like that for her, not friends, not family. I'll never forget the look in her eyes, a mix of gratitude and admiration. She promised she'd never forget it. She handled things professionally, putting the right legal structures in place. On paper, it looked like a simple business deal. But for me, it was more than money. It was a piece of myself I was giving to help the woman I loved build her dream. With the funding, everything moved quickly. She hired staff, rebranded, launched marketing campaigns. Every week, I saw progress. Watching her succeed made me proud, and I supported her completely. Not long after her business began to thrive, we got married. I thought we were on the perfect path. Two ambitious people, building a future together. The early days were good. We understood each other's goals, encouraged each other, and felt aligned. But as her business grew, so did the distance between us. She worked longer hours, came home late, dressed sharper, surrounded herself with new faces I didn't know. I stayed patient, telling myself it was just a phase. But by our 4th year of marriage, it was impossible to ignore. The connection was gone. We didn't fight. We didn't laugh. We just existed in the same space. And yet, I held on because I had already given so much of myself to this marriage. One evening, I came home earlier than usual and heard her voice outside on the back patio. She was laughing, a light, flirty laugh I hadn't heard in years. I listened for a moment before stepping out. She froze when she saw me, then quickly hung up. When I calmly asked who she'd been talking to, she got defensive and accused me of sneaking up on her. That moment changed the air in our home completely. We move around each other like strangers. I couldn't stop replaying that phone call in my head. Still, I didn't leave. I told myself we could work it out. 2 months later, I asked her to dinner, hoping we could reconnect. She agreed, but at the restaurant, she was glued to her phone, answering messages and barely looking at me. I tried to talk, to remind her of better days, but she barely responded. Finally, I told her directly. I missed her. I wanted us to fix what was broken. I meant every word. She looked at me for a moment, then quietly said, "I'm in love with someone else." I didn't ask who. I didn't ask how long. I just nodded, took a sip of water, and said, "Good to know." Then I called for the check, paid, and walked out without looking back. That night, I lay awake, questioning everything. By morning, I knew what I had to do. Susan moved out that day. I didn't need confirmation to know she went to him. I called my lawyer, someone I'd worked with for years, and told him I wanted a divorce. I also told him I wanted my $50,000 investment in her business returned. Back then, it was an act of love. Now it was strictly business. Within days, she was served both the divorce papers and legal notice demanding repayment. Not long after, I got a call from an unknown number. It was him. He asked me not to pull my investment, saying it would destroy the company. I cut him off, told him never to call me again, and blocked his number. The divorce wasn't easy. The courts leaned in her favor, as they often do. But we had no kids, and she'd already moved out, so she had little claim on anything else. I stayed focused and got exactly what I came for. The divorce finalized and my $50,000 back, plus interest. I don't hate Susan. I don't love her either. The woman I married has been gone a long time. What remained wasn't someone worthy of my loyalty. So I left with my dignity and made sure every door behind me was closed for good.